Well, we are well and truly into 2023. I hope that the new year is treating you very well. We talked a lot last week about one of the strategies that I was teaching in last night's webinar about color coding your calendar, about getting your calendar sorted. And now that we've spent some time talking about your calendar, I just want to share one add-on to the calendar system, which I hope that you will find valuable, because if you can get these two things right, and if you can get these two things talking to each other and talking to you and talking to the people on your team, and if you can make all of this kind of gel together beautifully, then your life is going to completely be revolutionized in 2023, and you're going to feel a lot more in control and a lot less there'll be a lot less opportunity for you to fall into that category of overwhelm and overload. And that is a great to-do list system. And so I know we've talked about this before on the podcast, but today I really want to touch on the way that my to-do list works into my calendar and what that looks like in practice. And it's actually kind of a three-part process, and that three-part process includes a weekly planner as well. And if you've downloaded my free download of the 10 productivity hacks, you would have got a copy of my weekly planner as well as a copy of my to-do list. If you don't have that, you can get it on my website under free downloads, or it's on the link under the link in my bio on my Instagram, or just send me a DM and I can flick it straight to you. But that productivity tip gives you these downloads so that you can take them and adapt them to yourself. You can print them out yourself. You can make yourself a booklet or a notepad or whatever works for you in order to be able to put this system into practice. And so for me, once you've got your calendar color coded and you know where you need to be, the next kind of part to that is being able to make sure that you're being able to get your work done. So you're being able to reply to people's phone calls, reply to people's emails, reply to people who need things from you. I don't know about you, but people stop me in the street and say, can you send me blah, 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 blah? And I'm like, yes. How am I going to store that piece of information? And so this system for me is a system that works. And like I said in last week's episode, whatever system you use, whether it's paper, electronic, right on the back of your hand, whatever your system is, as long as you're using that system and as long as that system is consistent, then you're going to see success when it comes to getting the most out of the time that you have and getting the most out of the time that you have to be productive in your business and in life. And so if you're working your system, no matter what the system is, then you're in good hands. But I'm sharing with you my system because you might want to make some tweaks and some changes to your system in 2023, and that's totally cool. So for me, all of my where I need to be's happen in my calendar, but my to-do list doesn't happen in my calendar. So I don't wake up and kind of look at my calendar and get a notification that says, send Julie an email. That doesn't happen. That's not what I use my calendar for. So when I do have green time blocked out, and as I told you last episode, green for me means work time, like downtime, deep work time, sit down, get work done time. When I have that time in my calendar, it's really about, okay, how am I going to best use this time? And the way that I figure that out is by then going to my to-do list. So I will have the deep work time blocked out in green in my calendar, but I don't actually, or I very rarely have the actual tasks I'm going to get to during that time. Those tasks that are usually linked to things that people need from me or my goals themselves, they all sit on my to-do list. And so at the beginning of every week, when I do my Sunday reset, I'll sit down, have a look at my to-do list, have a look at my inbox, have a look at what's pressing, what's pending, what needs my attention, and I'll map that out into my weekly planner. So I might know that on a Monday, I'm out of the office all day. I'm teaching, I'm have appointments. I'm going from one place to the next. Henry has sprockets, whatever happens on a Monday. I make sure that, there are no tasks that are happening on those days, but I'll write those things into my weekly planner so that it's there in front of me. Tuesdays is my Henry day, so I usually don't get any work done. So when it comes to Wednesday, it's like go time because the rest of the week hasn't really felt that productive. So I will have deep work time set out for me on a Wednesday, usually at the top of the day, because that's where my energy is best. That's when I work best. So I'll have that time mapped out and I will sit myself down and head straight to the things on my weekly planner that I've set aside for Wednesday. And because I know that that Wednesday time is coming up and that deep work time is coming up, I will have taken things from my to-do list and put them on my weekly planner to know that that's where I need to start. I don't know about you, but I am such a sucker for sitting down at that during that deep work time. And I did it today. I actually did it today. I sat down to record podcasts, but instead I made a Canva graphic that doesn't need to be used for a couple of weeks, but I was like, I'll just do that now. Procrastinating 101, like that did not need to be done. That was not urgent or important. But instead I should have looked down to my weekly planner, because that is where I try and rank in terms of priority the tasks that need to get done. I'll start off with a couple of quick tasks. So a couple of things that I can knock out of the park, a quick email reply. Perhaps I need to email someone to ask for a piece of research or a piece of information that I need. Can you send me over that? Those quick emails will give me something to cross off on my to-do list, will give me a few quick wins, will get that blood pumping and that adrenaline pumping, and then I'm off to the races. So the next things on my weekly planner are those things that are big priorities, that either they've got a deadline, either someone's waiting for that piece of information in order to go and do their job better on my team, or be able to do their job on my team, or perhaps it's somebody, one of the external stakeholders of the business that's waiting on information from me, or perhaps I've got a goal that I'm working towards, and in order to reach that goal, I actually need to sit down and do some thinking time. I actually need to do some planning time. I need to, do some strategy. Perhaps that's strategy for a client, perhaps it's strategy for my business, or perhaps it's just strategy based around how I'm spending my time. But I will try and get stuck straight into that without getting distracted by everything else. So I've turned off my distractions. I'm sitting down, I'm getting into that deep work that I've outlined on my weekly planner. And then it helps me then to not kind of get distracted. Because if I'm just going off my to-do list, then on my to-do list, there's all sorts of things. There's like, buy bread and we've run out of Nutella, and, return this person's phone call. And like the to-do list is a crazy mess of lots of different things across all of the 4 brands, and then my life as well on that to-do list. So being able to plan using my weekly planner, that time that I know I've set aside on my calendar to be able to sit down and make the most of that time has really been a game changer. I also try and use, if possible, the Pomodoro Technique when I do sit down for those deep work sessions. If I have 3 hours set aside for a deep work session, there's no way that my brain can cope with 3 hours of really intensive strategy or intensive thinking or intensive replies to emails and, getting things done. That's not possible. So I try and do the Pomodoro Technique, which is 25 minutes of, go time, and then 5 minutes of break. So 5 minutes of scrolling Instagram, 5 minutes of walking around the block, 5 minutes of going and refreshing my water bottle, like just 5 minutes out of the space, out of the head space and out of the physical space. And then I go into 25 minutes again. And so I do that 4 times in a row, which, brings me up to 2 hours. And then I take an extended break. So then I'll jump up and I'll, go downstairs, or I'll put the lead on the dog and walk him around the block, or, do things that get me completely out of that work mind. That's usually when I go and make a snack, or go and put the load of washing out that I, put on in the machine beforehand. So it's about getting out of the physical and mental space, but it's also about time. It's about giving myself time to kind of think over those ideas. And then I find if I do that, I come back to my desk so refreshed and so ready to go. And I know I've talked about the Pomodoro Technique before, and I know some of you are using it and also loving it, but I know also some of you were using it and loving it back in September. And then the end of the year got crazy and busy, and, you were just kind of swatting flies or putting out fires or whatever, metaphor you want to use when it comes to the chaos of the end of the year. And so you may have forgotten, and that may have, you may have fallen out of practice with that technique. And so if you want to bring it back and put it in use in 2023, I'd love to hear how it's working for you. So as I said, color coding the calendar on Sundays during my Sunday reset, transferring into those days. And when I do have deep work sessions, perhaps that's Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, perhaps it's Wednesday, Thursday. What are the things I'm going to tackle during that time that are going to step me closer to my goals? Or what are the things I'm going to tackle during that time that's going to mean that other people can step towards their goals because they're waiting on things, me to get back to them in order to give them an answer? And then, how can we get stuck into that during that time? Well, when I sit down, turning off all distractions, making sure I'm in the moment. I have all the things I need. I have, water, I have sustenance, I have nice light coming in the window, the blinds are open, and, I'm wearing something comfortable. Like, all these things matter when it comes to productivity. So making sure that I'm set up for success during those times is really important. And then I can, get stuck into that to-do list, and nothing feels better than being able to cross those things off and go, yes, I feel productive. That was a good session. So I hope that you can take some of that on board. If you want more tips to making sure that your 2023 is set up beautifully, then please get the replay from last night's webinar. You can do that by sending me a DM on Instagram, or if you go to simplystaceymorgan.com, you can still register. Of course, you've missed the live event, but we'll send you the replay and all the resources you need in order to set yourself up for success in 2023. Thank you so much for listening to the podcast. If you can leave us a rating or review, that would be so great. Share it with your friends. If you're listening on your iPhone, take a screenshot, hit those top 2 buttons, hit a screenshot, stick it on your Insta story and tag me. I'm at Simply Stacey Morgan on Instagram. I so appreciate you listening, and I look forward to talking to you next week.